Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump has unendorsed, or at least corrected the record pertaining to Kevin McCarthy. So this is a Washington Examiner article, very interesting. Weeks back, people thought that Trump endorsed McCarthy. He actually explained the endorsement. The endorsement was for the congressional contest, not for Speaker of the House. This is just out a couple of hours ago on the Washington Examiner. Trump corrects the record, says he hasn't endorsed McCarthy for Speaker. So, former President Donald Trump made it clear that he has not endorsed anyone, including Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, for Speaker of the House. Toward the end of a recent interview, Trump interjected to correct conservative talk show host Wayne Allen Root after he said Trump endorsed McCarthy for Speaker. Quote, "No, I haven't," Trump said. No, I haven't. No, I endorsed him in his contest, but I haven't endorsed anybody for Speaker of the House. Now, I don't want, even though Kevin McCarthy is very respected within the Republican Party, I would much rather have Jim Jordan or somebody else a little bit less interested in having a discussion with a person like Liz Cheney. Now, you had that taped recording of Liz Cheney and Kevin McCarthy 2 years ago, a day that everybody condemns, but here you have McCarthy almost blaming Trump. It wasn't Trump's fault. The mayor of D.C., the attorney general of D.C., the attorney general of the United States of America have never leveled any charges at Trump because they can't. Because we had an entire summer of, according to Wikipedia, $1 to $2 billion in property damage. Okay, wasn't the fault of Trump supporters or conservatives. Now, do I agree with the cause of why people demonstrated? Yes, I do agree with the cause of why people demonstrated that summer. But you can't have 19 lives lost, $1 to $2 billion in property damage, 14,000 arrests. That's, I believe, what Wikipedia quoted or cited. And you had Democrats paying the bail of people who were arrested. Granted, the cause was a noble cause. What was not noble, or the antithesis of honorable, is buildings set in flames with a CNN journalist saying, "Oh, it's fiery but mostly peaceful." You can't have Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and Democrats condemn one day that was horrendous and ignore an entire summer where people lost their lives and businesses were forced to put up signs saying, "Please don't destroy our business. We agree with the cause." You can't have curfews in every major city for 3 months or so simply by falling back and saying, well, it was a noble cause. And then you can't say, well, property, that's not really that important. Well, it's not your property. You wouldn't want your property messed with, would you? If that's your vantage point. And God forbid you wouldn't want your life, negatively impacted by anyone's demonstration. So whereas everyone condemns that day, and looking back, it wasn't, President Trump made a mistake in having that day because he should have known the entire system was waiting for an opportunity he should have known that a million things could have gone wrong. And if he wanted National Guard, like he's quoted as having said by a left-leaning journalist, quoted him as having said that, which is interesting because all they do is take alleged quotes of him that are negative and then don't ever really publicize alleged quotes that are positive or in his favor. But he's allegedly, he is quoted as having said, according to certain sources, that there was supposed to be at least 10,000 National Guard, or that he stated that there should be around 10,000 National Guard there. But see, he should have set that up long before ever thinking of having demonstrations that day. There were a lot of things that went wrong, but he used the word peaceful, and he did not tell anyone to commit any criminal act. McCarthy, though, is just not he's not willing to really back the Durham probe special counsel, go after people who tried to set up and frame Trump. He's basically a somewhat better version of Mitch McConnell. So you don't have to, the Speaker of the House, during this new Congress, the new Congress is going to be Trump Republican in the House and Senate, not Paul Ryan or Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger Republican. Those are relics. Those are dinosaurs that are no longer around in the Republican Party. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash channel. I have a segment on both of those right now, so check those out. They're below in the description section and the pinned comment. McCarthy he's very respected in Congress and within the Republican Party, but he's not the person. He is not the person to be in Congress and to impeach Biden twice. Mashed potato brains will be impeached twice. He's not the person to go after and investigate and push for investigations of Hunter. You can't have somebody like you need somebody the equivalent of Pelosi. Pelosi is not calling up Tulsi Gabbard, who's awesome and who has integrity. She wasn't calling up Tulsi Gabbard and trying to give an olive branch or mend fences or build a bridge to Tulsi Gabbard or any other Democrat that might disagree with her. Now, the AOC and the far left Democrats, they're actually part of the overall system. Pelosi uses them to funnel left-leaning votes back into the Democratic Party. Okay, that's how YouTube pundits on the left, the liberal YouTube pundits that consider themselves far left or progressive, they're going to vote blue no matter who, and they're utilized, like Bernie Sanders and AOC and others on the left, utilized to funnel votes back into the Democratic Party, back into somebody who is the antithesis of what they claim to stand for. Okay, these people are Green Party politicians. Okay, but the Democratic Party has found a way to utilize them to their advantage. There's no way for Trump. See, Trump actually opposes and is like the embodiment of opposition against the Lincoln Project, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, endless counterinsurgency conflicts and military quagmires. So Trump embodies that. You cannot, there is no way to reconcile or to form some kind of political alliance between Trump and Liz Cheney, or Trump and Paul Ryan, or Trump and anyone who stood by while he was investigated for something he didn't do. The reality is that McCarthy is not going to help the country. Forget about the Republican Party. I'm voting Republican from here on out. There's no way I can vote Democrat unless perhaps it's like Tulsi Gabbard versus Mitt Romney, which would not happen. But in that scenario, I'd vote Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard. But other than that, I'm voting Trump Republican, not Republican that's really a Democrat on major issues. I'd vote Trump Republican because I want a great economy. I want a great foreign policy. We have objectively a terrible economy now. It's because of Democrats who wanted to transform the United States economy from one that's fueled 90% by fossil fuels, that runs 90% on fossil fuels. Trucks are going to grind to a halt because there's diesel exhaust fluid shortage. Okay, there's diesel exhaust fluid shortage. There's diesel that's too hot, too expensive, and inflation is 8 to 9%. We have negative GDP growth, and we'll have negative GDP growth for more than 2 quarters. Okay, we'll have negative GDP growth for likely 3 quarters or even 4 quarters. Okay, we have food shortages. We have an issue with when you have 14 states and oil and gas associations actually suing the administration, the current president, suing because within the lawsuits, their policies are causing the price of energy to skyrocket. When you have a president that comes into the Oval Office and that says, well, we're going to try to implement far left policies, okay, and then we're going to do away with fossil fuels and we want to have a net zero emissions by 2030 and no fossil fuels or drastically reduce fossil fuels by 2030. And here are the executive orders, and we're going to a moratorium on leasing permits on federal lands and all of this other red tape and new regulations, and you make it difficult in addition to labor shortages, in addition to steel shortages, because there's supply chain issues now caused by Biden's policies, in addition to inflation and labor shortages caused by Democrats ending the economy 2 years ago because experts told them to do so, we have a Pandora's box of problems. And his administration, including the Federal Reserve, were saying that inflation was only temporary. So, and then you have Hunter's emails that are clear violations of the law. Like, there's no doubt if you read those emails, they're clearly criminal. But the left doesn't ever, like Democrats and, journalists, they don't ever read the actual emails. They don't ever actually, the standard of suspicion is never utilized in the same manner towards Hunter or Joe or Hillary. And by the way, Hillary Clinton's running again, thank God. It'd be fantastic. Hillary Trump 2024. I can't wait. And I have a segment on that prior. But hit subscribe to this channel right now. He's not going to go after Hunter or Joe or Hillary or anybody legally and through a Durham probe or through other parallel investigations, or he's going to be reluctant to do so, or he's going to not be as effective or efficient in doing so as somebody like Jim Jordan. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now to this channel. Trump has not endorsed Kevin McCarthy. And you need somebody with a little bit more teeth or fangs or, guts or willingness to really go after Democrats and media than Kevin McCarthy. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. Go after them peacefully, legally, in the same manner the Democrats in Congress went after Trump. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you. Go to the stock market crash and Bitcoin crash channels right now.